ready to rock and roll. What's going on, people? Welcome back to another episode of the Minted Minds podcast. Today is actually going to be an interesting one. I've got a good feeling about this conversation. I'm joined with Rob Moore. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me on your show in our studio.
Yeah, no, nice studio.
Looking good.
I think the background actually looks quite cool.
Yeah, all the black. It's nice.
Yeah, 100%. But again, thank you for inviting me down to your studio. It's a pleasure having you on. But I think I want to get straight into this one. So, you know, you're known to be quite controversial or having controversial views. You're not afraid to say how it is.
I would say common sense. I don't think common sense is controversial at all, but define controversial.
Okay, can you see why some of your views may be seen as controversial?
Depends what views you're talking about.
Okay.
I.e. reduced taxes in the UK, is that controversial?
Well, there's always arguments for and against, isn't there?
How can there be an argument for 70% of what you earn and what you spend in tax? Because if you actually look at what you earn and what you spend, corp tax, income tax, business rates, VAT added on top, national insurance, and then if you buy fuel, there's 3 taxes in it. You buy a car, there's 5 taxes in it. People don't know this. On what planet can it ever be justified that 7 out of 10 hours of your life you work for the government? There's 3 hours out of 10 of your life you work for yourself and your family. If that's controversial, then there's some shit wrong with this world.
I suppose it's how you want to look at it, and obviously you look at it at a different. Pretty much, I agree with what you're saying. So I'm just trying to play devil's advocate here. For example, you know, billionaires, you know, these major corporations paying little to no tax.
Well, it's not true. It's not true. They pay lower corporation tax, which I think is wrong.
Okay.
But if you look at the revenue that they and their companies generate, it's trillions. Mm. So it's not like for someone on the street that isn't working and sponging off of the system, pointing at a billionaire going, they're not paying enough tax when they're living off that person. Now, let's get technically accurate. When people say about billionaires not paying any tax, they mean corporation tax and income tax.
Okay.
Now, I actually believe the billion-dollar corporation should be paying the same corp tax as you and I. In the UK, it's 20%. But they'll end up paying 4% because they've got some holding company in Ireland, and they're not really running their business there, but because they're a global company, they've sort of figured out a way to reduce their income tax by putting their offices in a certain location. Here's the paradox. Would you do that if you could?
See, and
would you do that if you could?
It's creative accounting, and if you can get away with it.
So would you do it if you could? If you could legally pay 4% corp tax, would you?
I think.
Just answer yes or no.
Yes.
Yeah, and I would too.
Yeah.
And I would too. If it was legal and I've got some decent accountants that can do it, I would do it. Also, it's a fiduciary responsibility, i.e., tax is your biggest expense in a business. Yeah. So you can pay your suppliers and you can pay your staff more if you pay less overheads. So I would do what the billionaires do. So I don't blame the billionaires. I blame the system that makes the rules. Because is it fair that the billionaires or the billion-dollar companies pay 4% and you and I pay 20%? No, that's not right. But it's not the billionaires' fault. And I would do the same if I could find a workaround. It's the governments and the systems that are supposed to govern. It's their fault.
You know, it's interesting because I asked you...
So you agree with me, by the way?
I agree with you. I agree with pretty much everything you say. But I can also understand why it can be seen as controversial. And you know, it's interesting because I said controversial and then you went straight down to the tax topic. And when I say controversial, because obviously you've had Andrew Tate on your podcast and, you know, he's like one of the most controversial people on the planet in regards to his views on certain things.
Well, he's also one of the most common sense people on the planet with regards to his views on certain things.
But we've all seen what's happened to Andrew Tate, and because he's outspoken, my question to you...
Well, he's the most viral guy on the planet, so that's also what's happened to him. He said to me, behind closed doors, and I know he wouldn't mind me saying this because there's stuff he said to me behind closed doors that I will keep private, but he said to me, if you are on your mission... would you go to prison for 90 days for £100 million? Would you? If you were on mission, living life according to how you think you're supposed to live on this planet, would you go to prison for 90 days for £100 million?
Yeah. Of course you would.
So, yes, he's said some things I don't agree with, but I probably said some things you don't agree with. That's not abnormal. By the way, at the moment, he's innocent until he's proven guilty. When he's proven guilty in a court of law, I will address what I've said about that. But if you were being charged with something, but actually there weren't any charges, but you'd been imprisoned anyway, and he wasn't even sure if you were charged, let alone convicted, and you hadn't had a trial, and now you wouldn't have a fair trial because you're all over the media, I would defend your right to innocent until proven guilty. And I didn't just defend his right of that, I defended Russell Brand's right of that. And other Joe Rogan, when they tried to cancel him for views that aren't his own, because he's an interviewer, you can't be blamed for my views. You're the interviewer. And yet they went for Joe Rogan. I'll defend anyone's right for free speech in a fair trial. And if they're guilty and it's proven, I will say they are guilty. I do not support that part of what they said. To me, that's common sense.
No, but unfortunately, common sense is not that common, is it? And I think, with the way Andrew Tate's been treated, what's your take on the way he's been treated then? Because I know you've recently tweeted about something like, if you do speak out against the Matrix and all these things, you are going to get targeted and stuff like that. I wanted to know, are you not afraid of being targeted by the mainstream and being portrayed for something that you're not? For example, they're accusing Andrew for being a trafficker and all these things. And like you said, he's innocent until proven guilty. But then already in a lot of people's mind, he's already guilty just because he's been put on TV. Their stories being put out about it.
If anyone is watching has decided that Andrew Tate is guilty, you need to look at how you're being indoctrinated and hypnotized by the media. Because how do you even know what's real and not? You don't. And there hasn't even been a trial. Yeah. There is no conviction. If you watch a Channel 4 hit piece documentary on Andrew Tate, and you watch Dispatches or some watchdog type, and you decide that Russell Brand is guilty and Andrew Tate is guilty, you are an idiot.
I think you're the problem then.
Yeah. And I say that with respect, but I say that with complete volition, because you do not know the facts. I don't know if Andrew Tate is innocent or guilty. I've never said he's innocent. I've never said he's guilty. I do not know. I know what he tells me behind closed doors. I know what the left think and the right think and the young men and the non-binary. I know what they all think, but no one knows. Only at the moment, Andrew and Tristan know. And then only when he's given a fair trial, which is now virtually impossible, because how can you have a neutral jury? He could say he's been tried by social media. Now, if you watching and listening get triggered because I say you're an idiot, just know this, and this is really important. What information are you consuming? And therefore, what opinions are you forming based on that information? If you go on the BBC and you take that as fact, you are being hypnotized by mainstream media that has an ulterior motive. If you take painkillers for the long term, you're making yourself addicted to something that benefits the company that sells it to you. So all I'm saying is this. Know that, and I know this of myself, by the way, as well. Notice I haven't said innocent, guilty, right, wrong. I know this of myself. What I think I know, there's so much more I don't know. I ask every one of my guests who controls the world, who controls the money. No one fucking knows. No one.
But you can have an idea.
You can have an idea.
An educated idea, meaning that...
But how deep do you have to go to get an educated idea? You have to be in the thing. I know people who've been in media 30 years and then got cancelled, and they know what's really going on in the royal family, for example. or if someone really is innocent or guilty, or if, for example, I know someone who knows the whole stuff about Kevin Spacey. He's been in media 30 years. He knows, no one else does. So I think wisdom is it taking a broad spectrum of information. So if you're left, also consume some information from the right.
Yeah.
If you're, like when I wrote my book, Money, I'm basically a capitalist, I suppose, if you want to label me. I believe in merit and competition, and minimal intervention from government and supporting enterprise.
Yeah.
I believe in that.
Yeah.
But I also try to disprove my own argument in the book Money by more deeper studying socialism and capitalism and seeing if I could find some benefits. Okay. And I think that's what we should do. So if Andrew Tate triggers you, it's probably because there's a lie you've told yourself that he's picked the scab of.
Now that we're on the topic of Andrew Tate, you've obviously met him, you've spent time with him, you've had him on your podcast, you've had, quite in-depth conversations with him.
5 hours on one of the episodes.
Yeah, which is fair play to you. Just your opinion, do you think he's guilty?
I don't know. All of his close friends say he's innocent. They may have confirmation bias because they're his friends. All of his haters say he's guilty. They may have confirmation bias because they're his haters. I honestly don't know because I've not been his friend since school. Yeah. So I honestly don't know.
Okay, the negative comments around him and his brand, and he's a misogynist, he's this, he's that. Do you agree with those? Do you disagree? What do you think is a nice guy? Do you think they're right in saying he's one person on camera, because obviously I've never met him, and a lot of people go on what they see of him. I like him, personally speaking. I think, like you said, a lot of the things that he says, and like you say, is common sense. But like I said, also, common sense is not that common, especially on the internet. The internet, you get some...
Also, let me add, he's very pro-male, and his audience is male, and his demographic is male. So I said some of the things he said are common sense. If you're feminist, left, pro-female, or you don't need to have that masculine energy, of course you're going to disagree with what he's saying because he's not talking to you. Okay, so I relate to a lot of what he says because I'm a male who wants to be successful, who's got quite high drive, who's personally responsible. And so therefore when he says stuff that's a bit attacking towards maybe feminists or women in general, I'm not as triggered because I'm not that demographic. When people attack billionaires and entrepreneurs, I'm a bit defensive because, I'm not a billionaire, but I am an entrepreneur. So I understand why people get triggered. But Andrew Tate knows this really well, and he's very good at talking to his audience, and he's prepared to piss off his non-audience. So to be able to give you an answer about, it would be easy for me to say, some of the stuff he says I don't agree with, but I have to know exactly what he said. Yeah. Then I'd have to know the context. Then I'd have to go, has this been cut up for a clip on TikTok?
Yeah.
And who cut up the clip? Yeah. And were they trying to make it look bad? Or was it his own team? So social media doesn't really want to hear this, but context is everything.
You've hit the nail on the head. Like, we had a little situation recently on the podcast where context was crucial. But again, these pages took something out. If you know, they took it out, and it was from like a 2-hour podcast. They took out like 5-10 minutes, and it just made it out to be something completely. Yeah. And I think that's one of the dangers of social media. And I want to know your opinion now, because we live in this kind of snowflakey, society where people are afraid to speak their truth. You know how many people I've spoken to...
By the way, someone afraid to speak their truth isn't necessarily a snowflake.
No. Okay. So what I mean by snowflake is easily getting offended without knowing the full context. And I've come across so many people. I've had guests on my podcast that I don't necessarily agree with. You even said it yourself. I might not agree with some of the stuff you say, but that doesn't mean I'm going to go cry about it. Shall I go and cry about it and hate you for everything else that you stand for? Or shall I just take it and be like, okay, I agree with those things. Cool. I don't agree with what he said. If I'm not willing to have a conversation about it, I'll just let it go. So snowflakes, they get easily offended.
Yeah. Well, in my opinion, someone who gets easily offended, someone has spoken something that they know is true and won't admit it.
Okay.
Or that they have no idea who they really are.
Yeah.
Therefore, they're triggered by other people's authenticity.
Yeah.
If you don't stand for it, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. Yeah. Andrew Tate has authenticity. You may not like it, but he's clear on his messaging. He's clear on his market. He's clear on his delivery. And he's very clear on his beliefs. So people who don't have that same level of certainty and clarity are going to be very triggered by that. As far as I'm concerned, no one's opinion really bothers me because I'm clear on my own.
Do you really mean that?
Yeah.
Because,
No, I lied.
No. And the reason why I asked you that is because, it's easy. It's the right thing to say.
And it's easy to say.
And it's easy.
And there are nuanced concepts. Sorry, there's nuanced context. If Donald Trump went and did a broadcast across the world hating on me, that would hurt. If my business partner or wife did a live broadcast and shared all of the things about me they hated, of course that would hurt. I'm a human. Yeah. But people who don't know me, people who are triggered, the tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of negative, criticky, trolly, hatey, wanky, angsty comments I get on social media, don't care. Really don't care.
So would you say you're thick-skinned then? Because, look, that's...
I'm clear on... You could say that. I've certainly built a resilience whereby 15 years ago, one comment on social media from someone without a profile picture and I'd deleted the whole post. So maybe I built up a sense of resilience, yes, because, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And, you build calluses on your hands when you do workouts, on your fingers when you play the guitar. So you do build these layers of strength and resilience. That is also true. It's also just understanding how the world is. So, for example, critics have a purpose. If you had no critics, you could be more and more dangerous and outlandish and defamatory with what you say. Yeah. You could get away with anything. But the fact that there's law and critics and trolls that will jump all over you if you say something outrageous is accountability. So I've actually learned a lot from my critics, and I'm very grateful to my critics. Not trolls, because that's illegal, and it only recently got made illegal, and it should be. People don't know the difference between a critic, a troll, a hater. A hater is often just a jealous person.
So troll meaning they're purposely pushing your buttons to...
No. A troll is a fake profile that is set up with a view to inflict hate or defamation. Okay. That's illegal. Yeah. And if you get a troll, you should report them. That's illegal. But that make people commit suicide, that's illegal. A critic is someone who's disagreeing with you. Well, by the way, being disagreed with is very good for you. And I don't mind being disagreed with. My ego sometimes wants everyone to agree with me. But once I get that out of the way, which I've got better at doing now, I learn more from disagreement than agreement, which is why I strongly push some of the messages I've said today, which is check your facts, get a balanced view, know that your opinion is only opinion, check the sources of the information. I push these things hard to challenge other people. Because if you think about it, it's quite irresponsible to go, I hate Andrew Tate, without even knowing him, watching one TikTok video for 15 seconds.
Yeah. But unfortunately, not everyone thinks the way you do.
Well, then I have a purpose in life to teach them.
Okay, just to keep it kind of brief now on this, do you ever feel...
I don't do brief.
Do you ever feel as if... Have you ever felt like you've wanted to say something, but because you're... I wouldn't say afraid, because from the type of guy you are, I know you probably wouldn't be afraid, like you've said, but mindful of the backlash that you may get for saying something that you truly believe. Has there been an instance of that?
There's plenty of instances. And so my view is, when I post it, check it, make sure that it's truth, and then post it, see what happens, And if there's remorse, or if I'm getting a lot of hate, or I actually agree with a lot of the criticism, then I still can take it down. And I mostly don't. I think I've deleted 3 posts in the last 5 years. Okay. I can remember what they all are. It's easy. So one of them, I was in a gym and a lady was on a running machine and she basically had her ass out. She had she had a bit of a wobbly ass and she had these hot pants right up her crack. She must have been about 40. And I just videoed it while doing my workout. You couldn't see her face, by the way. And I just videoed it saying, holy shit, the gym gear has changed since I was in the gym. And I got masses of hate. I was shaming.
I could have told you that from the get-go.
I was shaming women. I was shaming bodies. When in reality, it was a bit of a jokey post. I didn't show her face. And I got masses of hate. Thousands of hate comments to that. And I thought what I said was fair and reasonable. But I decided to take it down, and I put an explanation post. A lot of people said thank Trump for, apologising, whatever else. Then I interviewed someone who's a really good friend of mine, Michael Jackson's ex-bodyguard, and we both just tried too hard to argue. I don't mind an argument, but it has to be natural. And we both just tried a bit hard.
Okay.
And then it didn't come across natural, and I was just a bit aggressive on him. And a lot of people in the comments were like, "Whoa, Rob, are you all right?" You. And I actually agreed with all the comments.
That's interesting. So I
deleted it.
That's interesting because ego would say to someone, "No, stick to your guns." And I think maturity comes when you're able.
But there are a lot of people that would, as soon as they see a couple of negative comments, they delete everything. So it's the same the other way around.
But deleting it just means that that you're not deleting it because you agree with them. You're just deleting it because you don't want the backlash.
No, not me.
No, that's what I'm saying.
I won't delete it because of the backlash. I'll delete it if I agree with all the criticism and they're right and I made a mistake.
Yeah, so that's
which has happened 3 times in 5 years.
But I think that's important because we can all get things wrong.
Yeah,
and I think that's important because I feel as if we're in a world where because of social media, everything has to be perfect. Every piece of content. You have to kind of ego plays
on my social media.
Especially with debates. I don't know if you found it, with debates, I feel as if debates sometimes end up pointless because it's just ego bashing. Whereas let's say if we're having a debate, I agree on something, you disagree with it, rather than having a proper conversation about it and I'm actually listening to your point of view and having the humility to say, you know what, you're actually right. I don't think we have that enough.
No. And social media algorithms and this polarization of wanting sensationalism is part of that. But we also collectively have to take the responsibility. If people continue to watch vacuous trash, the algorithms are going to push out vacuous trash.
Yeah.
If we watch good, considered discussion and debate, so I'll say this to everyone, it's really important. If you ever see a piece of content that you like it, save it, comment on it, and share it.
Yeah.
Because if you do that more good content will be pushed out. If you see a piece of content that's clickbaity, sensational, vacuous, delete it or click the button, give the feedback, unfollow. Because if we all take responsibility to do that, everything will change. And it's the same with political campaigns and ads that are going out there.
Yeah.
So as an individual, you could take responsibility. I agree with you. I want to see a discussion where you get your say, I get my say. If I'm wrong, I'll acknowledge you. Or if you make me think, I'll acknowledge you. I want to put my point across with some certainty. I want you to be able to do the same. I want to learn something from the discussion. Yeah. Hopefully you do too. But social media algorithms do not push that. But we're lazy now. We watch things for 5 seconds. And so the consumer, I believe gambling should be outlawed. There's so many lives are ruined by gambling. I agree. But you can't really blame the gambling firms. They do all these nasty tricks and free bets and lure you in. It's bullshit. But at the end of the day, there needs to be education for people to not gamble and to invest instead of gambling. So can you blame the gambling firms? If there's a market, there's a market.
Yeah. The market's the market. Yeah. The market dictates what is out there and what isn't.
So everyone watching and listening, support what's right, resist what's wrong, and if we all take responsibility, the world changes.
You know what? I can't argue with that. And you're spot on. Bang
It's
on.
the same with politics. Yeah, anything you don't agree with that you think is wrong, push against it. And anything that you think is good, really support it.
Well, that's a whole different, that we could spend here, a long time talking about politics and what's going on, currently with the whole Palestine and Israel situation and censorship and, what is free speech and whatnot. But I think we'll leave that for now. Okay, so a lot of your content is about money. Your whole spiel is about money. You've released some books regarding money. So for the audience that are listening that probably haven't come across you, why should they listen to you when it comes to money?
No one should listen to me. If you want to take control of your financial education and cure yourself of the disease you've been given by mainstream media, propaganda, and hypnosis, then you might like my content. So what you are taught in schools is not for you. It is for the system. Okay. So is it good for you to spend 7 years to get a few letters after your name and get 100 grand in debt doing it? Is it good for you to then really struggle to find a job even though you've spent 7 years getting 100 grand in debt for all those letters? Is it good for you to work for 35 to 40 years barely beating inflation?
Okay.
Is it good for you to get a mortgage so that half or 3/5 of your total expenses for your life are on a house you can barely afford? You've got to ask yourself is it right for you to buy now, pay later? You've got to ask yourself is it right for you to take all your money and give it to a third party called a bank and believe their insurance policies and believe their claims of what inflation is? You've got to wise up. Well, if you want to get control and understand that the big corporations, whether they're pharmaceutical, banking, insurance, for example, insurance is not designed to protect you. It's designed to make profit. Banks are not designed to look after your money. They're designed to make profit. I've got an Aston Martin DBS. Someone reversed into my car. They reversed into my car stationary. And if I want a claim, which is on their insurance, my policy goes up. It goes up so much that I have to pay for someone else reversing into my car to protect my no claims. That's a fucking scam.
That is a scam. You know what? I recently realized that. I say recently, it's been like a couple of years. Because we was having this discussion and I think one of the lads, he was like, he must have got involved in an accident, non-fault. So it was the other person's fault. So just claim on your insurance. He goes, nah, bro, because my premium's going to go up. I'm like, what are you on about? It's the other person's fault. He goes, I know. But like you just said, even though it was the other guy, and that's when it hit me like, how? But they go on based on the probability of you getting into an accident.
The thing is, everything that they'll say is marketing.
Yeah.
It's just marketing.
Yeah.
Because you got to ask, does it benefit you? How does it benefit you? How does it benefit me to pay you a load of money to insure my car and then have to pay for it when it goes wrong or someone crashes into me? How does it benefit me to pay twice? It's like the NHS. How does it benefit me to pay 20% of my tax or more to the NHS and then not be able to get in and then have to pay private? And now private has gone through the roof because you can't get in public. So I have to pay twice for healthcare. How does that benefit me? So healthcare doesn't benefit me. Insurance doesn't benefit me. Pharmaceuticals often make it harder for me to get rid of the illness. Do you know, a painkiller, think about this, it should be common sense. A painkiller does not go to the cause of the problem. It tricks the brain into thinking there's no pain. So it doesn't deal with the problem. And then, I can't say if they put any addictive substances into it, but how can people get addicted to painkillers? And would it benefit then if they were addictive? I can't say, I honestly don't have enough information, but I'm
something
just
to think
thinking
about. Yeah.
So
Food for thought.
So when it comes to money, I'm thinking the same thing. Then banks advertise. My daughter, she's 9 years old. She got earrings, her first piercing. And literally she was getting pissed, and there was a sign which said, "Pierce now, pay later." What an outrageous thing to advertise to 9-year-old kids and parents of 9-year-old kids to get into debt. It's not saying work hard and save till you can pay for your earrings. It's saying get in debt and pay 30% a year in interest so you can have your earrings now. And it's the same on trainers. My son picked up a Nike running shoe. He gave it to me. And inside of it was an ad. Buy now, pay later. £120 pair of Nikes. So 30% interest. Yeah. That is outrageous. And by the way, that's the gateway drug. You might think, 30% on 120 quid. But then it's the TV. Yeah, then it's the conservatory. Then it's the car. And then you're fucking trapped.
I know, because I've done a bit of research, obviously, before I came, because I knew I was going to do this podcast. And I know you spoke about you being in debt in your earlier days.
Yeah, because I fell for the indoctrination.
Yeah, so you're obviously speaking from experience. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I was 50 grand in debt. I had a car loan. Now, this is 18 years ago. Yeah. So you can't double it, but you can at least 50% it. So I got a 10 grand loan for a car I couldn't afford. And the payments were £200 a month, which I couldn't afford. And then after about 3.5 years, I sold the car for 3.5 grand. I bought an expensive bike and I paid off a tiny amount of a couple of credit cards that were maxed. And I still had the car loan for 1.5 years, and I still had the credit cards nearly maxed.
Well, what were you spending it on?
I was earning 200 quid a week and spending 300 quid a week. I was spending money on clothes. I was spending money on going out. And because money was just free, get another credit card, 0%, get another credit card, get another credit card. I really thought it was free money. I didn't know any different. And no one in school. I mean, by the way, I'm like, how old are you? 18 to 25, not 12. Yeah. But you should, what you used to get taught was, if you want to buy something, work for it, save up, and buy it. Now, if it's a depreciating liability, work for it, save it up, check if you really need it, buy it. If it's an appreciating asset, get a loan off the bank, use the bank's money, leverage the bank's money, and get the income.
So we're doing properties?
Yes, or other assets. So if you borrow a small amount of money, you have the problem. If you borrow a very large amount of money, the bank has the problem. So I've got 340 properties in my portfolio, of which I might have 58% bank finance. The bank has a problem if something happens to
58% bank finance?
Yeah. So just under 60% bank finance, just over 40% equity on 340 properties. By the way, I'd have 34 if I wasn't able to use the bank's money, so it's helped me 10 times my portfolio. But when you've got a small loan, you have the problem. The banks will chase you. Yeah. When you've got a massive loan, the banks have the problem. The banks don't want me to go bust. Yeah, because they have a big problem.
So they're going to try their very best to kind of make sure that you're not in a position.
Yeah, well, look, they're going to make sure that they've got charges and restrictions on my money. But the more you borrow, the more the banks have got the risk. I mean, you've got risk too, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
So,
have you heard of Simon Squibb?
Yeah, he's my friend here.
Have you recently heard what he said about property?
Yeah, I think he's wrong.
And again, I wanted to bring that up because I know you're very much in the property game. Like you said, you're over 300 properties.
340. And we run the UK's largest property education business. And there are tens of thousands of people who've quit their job or become financially free or even become millionaires thanks to what I've taught them about investing in property. So, I mean, you need to tell everyone what he says.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna get into that. So his argument is, but I watched one clip, and his argument is according to someone that's buying properties to live in it. So, for example, I think what he was trying to explain was it's a liability if you were to mortgage a house and to live in it, which I agree, it's a liability because you're not gaining anything from it. Whereas from a property investment point of view, I think properties is the way forward.
Yeah, well, I mean, let me give you some context here, because context is
Yeah.
So, what I've seen Simon say, who I love very much as a friend, and he knows my thoughts, is what he says is getting a mortgage for a house to live in when you're young and having really large repayments, he thinks that is a really bad idea. And I would mostly agree with that. Okay. If you're 23 and you've pushed yourself to the absolute limit to get a mortgage on a pretty small house, which keeps you restricted and you can't really travel and 3/5 of your income's going to be burned, that's not necessarily good for you. It's very good for the banks.
Okay.
Because they've got you in on a 25... Do you know there's 35-year mortgages now? Yeah. So if you're under 30, you're going to be paying a mortgage until after retirement. So with that specific criteria, I agree. However, a house that you own for you is one of the most secure things you can have. Because as long as you've got equity in it, if you ever need to put money into a business, or if you're desperate for money, you've got that equity in that house. So that's something that he and the American guys don't say. And also, it's a financial liability. But what are you going to do? Raise 3 kids in a fucking tent or in Airbnbs? You know, if you want to raise children, I have got a 7-bed house. And I've lived there for 10 years. And I love being there. And it's the tranquil oasis in a very chaotic world.
Yeah.
And I've built my empire there. And I've raised my family there. Oh, that's a scam, is it?
Yeah, so
that's not a fucking scam. But I manage my finance well and I can afford that. So to say property is a scam is not correct. What he also said was, buying a property for buy-to-let where you buy it and then just rent it out, that's a scam. He even said that's a fucking scam. That's wrong because a lot of people can't afford to buy, so you're renting to them, so you're providing a service. By the way, he tells everyone to follow their dreams and quit their jobs and start their businesses, with 90% of businesses failing the first year and 90% of them in the next 3 to 5.
That's interesting.
So what's the biggest scam? Now, by the way, I also am an entrepreneur and I also teach people to start their own business. But it's not always good to quit your job and start a business. If you've got a good, secure job, you should start part-time. You can learn from your boss.
Do you think everyone can be an entrepreneur?
No. And he'll say yes. No,
because I know we're speaking about it.
Can everyone be a black belt martial artist? Can everyone be a rapper? Can everyone be a podcaster? Can everyone be a pimp? No. No one can be everyone. So therefore, not everyone can be an entrepreneur. Coming from a guy who preaches it, but I also teach it.
Okay, look, to say black belt karate and everything, if your body can't, like, if you're at a okay, what about a young person that has got the passion to
Stop
become?
them. So that's not everyone, because now you're a young person, got the passion. You've already put 2 criteria in, so you've already cut out 3. Most people on this planet probably haven't cut out their passion. Most of them aren't young, because we've got an aging population. So you've already filtered down from, let's say in the UK, 70 billion people to 8 billion people.
Because if I wanted to be the best footballer now, I know.
Could everyone be the best footballer in the world? No. Could everyone be in the Premiership? No. Now, by the way, let me give you context. Does that mean I'm going to stop teaching that if you want it, you can get it? No. I'm probably the biggest teacher of entrepreneurship in this country over the last 2 decades. So here's the caveat. If it's right for you at the right time and you want it and you're prepared to do what it takes, be an entrepreneur. But what Simon Squibb does, my dear friend, I love him, going into other people's businesses and people working in other businesses and telling them to quit, that's fucking wrong. You come into my business and tell all my staff to quit, I'm fucking kicking you out and I'm locking your arm and I'm snapping it. Because for a lot of people, they're not meant to be an entrepreneur. Because you can't have the CEO without the janitor or the janitor without the CEO. And a lot of people, they're supporters and they want security. And if you want security, don't be an entrepreneur. And he fucking knows it.
Because I like his content, and just like you,
he's wrong.
But there is certain things where I've seen him do where I can't remember exactly. There was one instance where I think the person was like, "No, I'm okay with working, whatever." He's like, "No, why you trying to make your boss rich and etc. etc." And I'm thinking, if the person's happy and they, like you said, they've got that security doing the 9 to 5, I feel as if as long as they're happy with that, then who are you to say that?
Well, let me ask you, who's the mug? Are you the mug working for me, making me rich? Or am I the mug taking all the risk and you're just getting a nice, secure paycheck? Because by the way, if I own the business and I make no profit, I don't get paid, but you do. And you always get paid before me. Who's the muck?
Yeah. So it depends, because it's like if it was just money, if money was the only variable in this, then look, like you said, there's been like I used to have a dessert shop. In the first year, my waiters were making more money than me. Do you get me? So in that instance, I'm the mug. But then eventually it got to a point where I was making enough money, more than all of them. So then they're making me rich. So then they become the mug. So it's kind of like...
no one's the muck.
Yeah.
For every business owner, you need staff members. And every staff members need a business owner. We customers need suppliers. Suppliers need customers. Children need parents. Parents need children. We are interdependent. We need each other. So all these people who say, you're a loser if you work, sack your boss, quit your job, they're just fucking wrong. Or they're peddling their own stuff. And by the way, I am probably the most incentivized person to say, sack your boss, be an entrepreneur, because that's what I teach people to do. But the reality is not the case. Like, you have to find out something that you would enjoy. Then you have to think, am I prepared to take some sacrifice? Then you have to think, am I prepared to take some risk? And then you have to think, am I prepared to do this for the long term? If it's yes, I can help you, Simon Squibb can help you, whatever. But that doesn't make you wrong staying in a job if you can't tick all those boxes.
Do you think that everyone that wants to become an entrepreneur has got it in them?
Wanting is not enough. I remember when I wanted Gwyneth Paltrow. Where is she? To say everyone wanting is not enough.
Okay, so when I mean wanting, they also understand, okay, like you said, rightly said, you have to put in that effort, you have to put in that dedication. Is that the equation for success?
The equation for success is, number one, knowing what your values are and turning that into some kind of meaningful mission for you.
Okay.
And it could be to be the best parent. It can be to be the best housekeeper. It can be to be an entrepreneur. Number two is then converting that passion and mission into a monetizable business, because otherwise it's just a hobby.
Yeah.
Number three is then launching that to a market and selling. And then number four is managing and delivering those sales to provide great service. Then number five is to continue to do that for 2, 3, 5, 10 or 20 years until you get rich.
When did your business journey start?
18 years ago. Well, no, 21 years ago, but my successful business started 18 years ago.
And if you were to reflect back, would you say you've had a hard journey?
Compared to what?
Compared to your own standards?
Well, how do I know any different?
Okay, has there been moments where you wanted to give up?
No. Right, let me give you context. Is it easy where I can just click a few buttons on the keyboard and become a millionaire? No. And if anyone tells you and sells you anything like that, that is bullshit. Get rich quick. They're probably on TikTok. They're probably 21. They probably rented the house and the Lamborghini in the videos. However, compared to being human trafficked, or you're working down the coal and the gold mines and you die at 40 because you've killed your lungs for £1 an hour, compared to that, my life's been fucking easy. So is it hard to be a millionaire or an entrepreneur? Well, yeah, but pick your hard. It would be, I'll tell you what's harder for me. If I had to work for someone that I didn't respect and they told me what to do and I couldn't tell them to fuck off, that'd be really hard. Really hard.
Okay.
To shut my mouth because I didn't have enough money. Because people think freedom is the ability to say yes. Freedom's the ability to say no. I.e., you want me to do something? I can afford to tell you to fuck off. Or will politely decline. So the reality is, it's harder for someone like me to shut my mouth and have to do for 35 years what someone tells me to do who I don't respect. Now, by the way, if I had a brilliant boss who was multi-millionaire or billionaire, I really respected for them, I could be an employee. It's all about that. So that would be much harder for me than the sacrifice of starting a business. So is it easy? No. Is it hard? No. It's all about what you compare it.
I like what you say, pick your hard. But, you know, if you were to reflect back, knowing what you've had to go through and all the obstacles and trials and tribulations, failures or whatever it has been, would you do it again?
Fucking damn right. I'd live an infinite number of lifetimes. I'd live the inception or the dark matter. I would live for the last 18 years, I've had a charmed life. I've got 7 supercars, most of which were on my wall when I was 13 years old. I've got an amazing wife. I've got amazing children. I'm probably one of, if not the biggest landlords in this city. I'm still quite young. I've written 19 books. I've broken public speaking world records. I've done $250 million or more in sales. I've traveled the world. I speak about what I love. I am one of the luckiest guys on this planet, which is why I don't think it's as hard as people who say it's really hard is. It's just not get rich quick. It's get rich long.
So you're saying people don't have the patience for it then?
Well, it's easy to be patient in something you love.
I think what's happening now is people are looking at the end goal, or they're comparing themselves to people that have been in the game for 20 years.
That is a big curse.
Yeah.
Never compare your day 1 to someone's day 1,000.
But I think social media is making that so difficult.
So then, like I said, click those 3 dots and unfollow the shit.
That's
I'm
important,
sorry,
you know.
if someone hasn't got pubic hair, they're not a millionaire. I'm sorry, if they can't grow a beard yet, they're not a millionaire.
There are some outlandish claims out there.
They're TikTokers just copy TikTokers who copy TikTokers who copy TikTokers who probably copy someone like me or Simon. So, yeah.
Would you recommend the property game then for people to go in?
If you want long-term wealth, yeah. By the way, I know loads of crypto people who made 10, 20, 50, 100 million in crypto and their ego was bigger than a house. And I said to them, reverse pound cost average. Pound cost average means staging your investments over time. So if you want to invest 10 grand, $1,000 every month for 10 months instead of all in. I don't even know if it's a thing, I've just designed it, but reverse pound cost averaging is where if you've made a lot of money, pull some out and park it into something more secure. Made a lot more money, pull something out and park it into something secure. So if you've invested in a company or you've got a company that's gone up a lot in value, take some money off the table. If you've made money in crypto, take some money off the table, even if it's not going to get as good a return. And the best place to park it, well, gold's a pretty good place, silver's a pretty good place. Property is probably the best place because you've got leverage in property that you haven't in silver or gold. It's proven ownership rights in the UK are really good. It builds wealth, it protects wealth, it builds generational wealth. You know, there's a lot of things that are going to disappear before you're dead. But your children are going to receive your properties and their children are going to receive their properties. Your clothes that you might have spent a lot of money on are going to go, to some second-hand shop. But your property, your grandkids and their grandkids could be living in properties that you built in your portfolio. That's fucking powerful.
I'm curious to know now. So you said you've got a property portfolio of 340 properties.
Units, rental units, because we've got 100 apartment blocks.
Oh, right, okay.
So is that 100 or is that one?
Okay.
Yeah.
How did you do that?
So 18 years ago, I met my business partner at a property networking event. He was a bit further ahead. He had a few more properties. He had a bit more experience. We partnered up. He used my sweat and hustle and desperation to go and do whatever it took. I used his knowledge and he had a bit of capital, and he also had access to some capital through friends and family. We started buying houses.
So why did he need you? If he had the knowledge and the capital, what made him decide to partner up with you?
And you'd probably have to ask him, but I know his answer. But there's something powerful about desperation. And a lot of people come to me and they're like, oh, I'm broke, I haven't got any money. That's really bad. or things are going really bad for me right now, that's really bad. And I always say to them, good. Because are you going to get off your ass and make shit happen and learn shit and do what you don't know, do whatever it takes when you're comfortable or when you're desperate?
No, when you're desperate, obviously.
Exactly. Well, you say obviously. But a lot of people don't leverage that. Like, you are the most resourceful when your back's the most against the wall. When you're comfortable and chill, you're not resourceful.
Complacency kills, isn't it?
Yeah. Comfort is the enemy of greatness. Yeah. So I was 50 grand in debt and I was prepared to do whatever it fucking took. I was prepared to work for free. They gave me minimum wage and a really big commission. I learned sales, I learned marketing, I learned public speaking, all in the 1 year. I'd never learned any of them. I didn't know how to do it. I remember our boss sat us down and was like, right, we've got this opportunity to speak at this event. There's going to be 250 people there. One of the three of us needs to do the presentation. And they both looked at me.
Oh, okay.
Because they were both scared. No, not naturally. Okay. They were both scared. And I guess I had some, I wouldn't say bravado, but I was definitely like trying to project success.
Okay.
And I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And inside I was petrified.
Oh, so you were shitting it inside.
But I knew, because they didn't want to do it, that gave me value. So I went and learned what they weren't prepared to do.
That's quite interesting, actually. And I think, thinking back now, actually, I think I'm kind of similar, where because I know someone else is not willing to step up to the plate, even though I may be bricking it, even probably more than the other person.
And you may not know how to do it
yet. I'll step up.
Yeah.
I'll step up because, like you said, I'm bringing the value. It gives me that value. That's an interesting point.
What you lack in resources, you have in resourcefulness.
Mm. If you weren't doing property, if you hadn't gone to that networking event where you met your business partner, like, was it something that you knew from young where you knew automatically you wanted to work for yourself, you wanted to build an empire?
Yeah. So unconsciously, yes.
That's what I mean.
Because my dad worked for himself and he got me working for him and I loved working for him and I started working for him age 6.
Okay.
And then I got stuck in the school system and indoctrinated and hypnotized.
You know the school system, like, do you feel as if it's a scam for everyone, or is it for the people that are happy to do the 9 to 5? Right. And
okay, let me challenge my own things I've said earlier. Nothing or most things are not a scam for everyone.
Okay.
Many of the drugs that you take, the medicine that you get, is helpful, and actually people have been cured of cancer, for example. So I'm not saying all pharmaceutical drugs are bad. Yeah. If you want to be a doctor, a dentist, a lawyer, the school system is probably the most proven way to get there. Mm-hmm. But if you want to be free, independent, entrepreneurial, have your own business, minimize your tax, maximize your income, then the school and the college system is the worst road to go to.
Okay, fair enough. I'll pretty much agree with what you said there, to be fair. Okay, going back to money, what's the biggest mistake that we do as maybe a consumers or the average Joe? What are we doing wrong when it comes, should we be saving our money? Should we be investing our money? Should we be going into crypto? What are some of the things that you'd advise or stay away from when it comes to, like, just money in general, money management?
I'll go from the absolute basic, which is so basic that it could be taught to a 5-year-old. And most 35-year-olds are getting this wrong. Okay. Never spend more than you earn.
Live within your means.
Never spend more than you earn. If for 30 years you never spend more than you earn and you invest the difference, you will become a millionaire, even if you earn 30 grand a year and you go up 1% over inflation every year.
It's true what you said. It makes sense when you say it. It can make sense. True. It could make sense to a young lad if you were to, but then in reality,
no, that is the reality.
No. I mean, in reality, a lot of people spend more than they earn.
Yeah. So stop.
Powerful.
Stop. And if you're like, well, I can't. Yeah, you can. Cancel that direct debit. Cancel that standing order. Do you need to pay £110 a month for Sky TV? No. Do you need the gym membership when you can do a home calisthenics workout? No. Do you need to go to the really good supermarket? Could you go to the cheaper one? Sacrifice now to earn later. So that's the first thing. The next thing is, no one will get rich saving except the banks. No one. you get rich investing. So never spend more than you earn. The only purpose for you, not for the banks, for you, for saving, is to build up enough to invest. So it's like building a discipline and a habit. So as soon as you can get enough to put into an ISA, or to put into silver, or to put into gold, or put into real estate, you do it. So you get rich investing, not saving. The third thing is, there comes a time in your journey of earning money where your biggest expense is not your mortgage, it's not your staff, it's not your divorce even, it's tax. 70% of what you earn and what you spend currently, roughly, in the UK is tax. Imagine if that was 30% or 25%. So pay yourself first. Pay tax and direct debits and everything else last. The only way you can pay yourself first and pay tax last is to own a business and be an entrepreneur. Because as a business person and entrepreneur, currently, you can take in VAT, you pay it a quarter later. You take in all the revenue, you pay your corporation tax later, you pay your income tax later. So, and then there are offsets and depreciables and write-offs that you can read on government websites. So they're probably the three main fundamental rules of building wealth.
You know, a lot of people, because of tax, are moving abroad, moving to Dubai and all these places. Would that be something that you'd be potentially looking
Yes. I mean, if they fuck this country up anymore...
Well, it's going that way, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, everyone I speak to is in business. You speak to taxi drivers, you speak to people. Like I don't know anyone who thinks this country has got better. And everyone I know says it's got a lot worse. And only people who are 70 years old who remember having a business at the higher 15% interest rates or tax in the late 70s, only those say they remember one time when it was worse. So do I want to work 70% of my life for a government that have ruined the police, ruined the NHS, allowed corporations to raid us, things like insurance, ruin the education system, blah, blah, blah. The education system was built in the industrial age and it's not been updated since. It was built to create employees and workers. So where the world's completely changed, we're not in an industrial age anymore. We're in an information age.
If you were going to run the country, if you had the opportunity to run the country for the next...
I wouldn't. Because, well, the thing is, imagine, I just don't think the Prime Minister or the President, I just don't think they have the power that people assume they have. I imagine once you get in, there's some secret society and there's levers being pulled and instructions coming down. I'll give you an example, right? They're supposed to be banning vaping. Yeah. I mean, how vaping has even been allowed? That was just like putting fruit flavors into a cigarette replacement. That is a crime against humanity because that is obviously targeting kids.
And it's really addictive.
Obviously a crime. Yeah. And they allowed it and then they were going to stop it. And now that the election campaign is on, they're delaying it. Like, how can that be allowed? Maybe there's some big firms that are funding political campaigns. I cannot say that for sure. But why would you allow young kids to die?
Ultimately, money runs the world. And
no. Money runs nothing. Money is a universal exchange of value. What runs the world is powerful people.
But what puts them into power is money.
Money is just a tool. A hammer can't commit a murder. A hammer can only commit a murder if it's used as a murder weapon by someone with an intention to murder.
If I'm a billionaire and I have, let's just say, unlimited resources when it comes to money and all these things, but I'm not in a position where I can control the country or whatever. In order for me to get what I want, I'd have to pay certain people to do certain favors. That's what I mean by...
Yeah, but it's the intention, not the money.
Yeah.
Because the reason I challenge you on this is because people say money corrupts. Money can't corrupt because it is just a polymer. It's amoral. It doesn't have any morals. It has no consciousness.
Sure.
The only thing that can corrupt is humanity. Because the reason people love to go, oh, you're a billionaire and money corrupts. No, there are plenty of billionaires that are on a mission to give it all away. And there are plenty of, I know so many people who are worth 100 million to 5 billion. Some of the nicest, most giving people I know. Money does not corrupt.
Okay, does money make you happy?
Well, money, if money can't corrupt, money can't make you happy because it is an inanimate object. But money as a tool can make you happy. If I want to put my new 60-inch TV on the wall and I only have my fingers, I'm going to be quite unhappy trying to put that on the wall.
I don't know.
If I've got a proper drill, well, no, even better. If I pay you to go and put it up for me and you're really good and I could just sit and watch, I'm happy. So money is a useful tool that enables you to buy things that make you happy. So therefore, gun to the head, does money make you happy? Yes, but by the definition I've just said. Because if I have to put the 60-inch TV up with my fingers, I'm unhappy.
No, I'll get you. Because the reason I brought that up, because I'm pretty sure you said, I don't know whether it was on your content or whatever, money makes you happy. But then I was going to say, there's also billionaires that are depressed.
But there's also broke people who are depressed. That whole billionaires being divorced 5 times, unhappy, absolute myth. How many billionaires do those people know and have they interviewed? It's just...
But it's interesting though, don't you think?
It's candy for people who don't have their own mind. Let me ask you this. If anyone thinks that billionaires are unhappy, how many fucking billionaires do you know that you've talked to at length? That'll be none.
I can't remember the name of the company, but there was this one woman, I think it was a handbag company or something. I'm not saying she was a billionaire, but she was very
Kate
wealthy.
Spade, and did she commit suicide?
Yeah.
I think it might have been Kate Spade, but I may have got it wrong. But it was definitely
something.
A big brand.
Yeah, big brand. It was like handbag brand or something.
Do you think, if you actually got all the information, I bet you it's not. I think it's because she was a billionaire.
No, I agree. It's not going to be because she's a billionaire. But a lot of people assume because someone has an X amount of money, they're automatically going to be happy and have everything else along with that.
You could be happy and rich, unhappy and rich, happy and broke, unhappy and broke. You could be rich and sometimes happy, sometimes unhappy. You can be broke and be sometimes happy, sometimes unhappy. You can be all the things. So if you can be all the things, why not be rich? True.
But why, in your opinion, why do people think that their happiness is relative to the amount of money that they're making?
Because
everyone that's broke wants money, and then everyone that's got money says,
But it's nearly always broke people who say money doesn't make you happy. It's very rarely rich people. It's sometimes really rich people. Of course you would say money doesn't make you happy when you've got billions and you're wiping your ass with £50 notes. Of course you would say money doesn't make you happy. Because you're probably paying a PR company and they're saying, make sure you say that money doesn't make you happy. Make sure you say that you never do it for the money. You always do it for the cause. Says this 20 grand a month PR company. What the fuck? So here's the thing. Do you want to run a good podcast?
Yeah.
So do you want to be able to afford nice cameras? Yeah. Do you want the best mics? Yeah. Do you want good recording equipment? Yeah. Do you want to be able to take a day out to come and interview good people? Yeah. Is that free? No. Does that cost money? Yeah. There you go. If you want to be a good artist, do you want good equipment? Do you want your own studio?
Like you said, it's a tool, and if used correctly, yeah.
And it's a fucking useful tool. If I break down somewhere and I'm rich, I can call someone up, and I can get them to pick me up. If I'm broke, I have to walk.
Okay, people that are probably watching this podcast, they're probably on their journey to build wealth, build businesses, and whatnot. Now, going back to your journey, you said you started your business journey, or when you started seeing success, you had a business partner. Do you think you'd still reach the level of success that you've got now without having a business partner?
No, fact. Because I was always going to get good at what I was going to get good at, but I was always going to be shit at what I'm shit at. And my business partner is really good at what I'm shit at. And so I probably would have imploded or my growth would have been dramatically reduced by not plugging the holes of some of the things, not all, that I'm shit at. So the best thing about having a business partner is you can be great at what you're great at and you can outsource what you're not great at. Now, are there founders who are very rich who are solo founders and not business partners? Yes. But look at their board. Look at their mentors. Look at the people around them. You know, Robert Kiyosaki, who I interviewed on my show, talks a lot about his power team and his rich dad advisors. So whether it's an actual business partner, like it's a business marriage, or if you're the CEO, it's your MD, your ops manager, your head of commercial, your head of sales, your head of marketing. No one is self-made and everyone needs a team. And I remember I got, back then at the school I was at, this was quite unheard of. I was stuck in the middle sets at school and it pissed me off because I didn't think I was a middle set guy. So I worked extra hard and I got 2 A stars, 6 A's and 2 B's in my GCSEs. In the middle set, no one ever got anything like that. In the middle set, you get C's. And I got 2 A stars, 6 A's and 2 B's. I remember my tutor came up to me and went, shame about the B's.
No way.
And that's what school does. Whereas a mentor who's smart would go, those 2 A stars, you could become a 100 millionaire out of those. So just outsource those 2 B's to someone who's better than you at that.
Just to play devil's advocate, so someone saying to you, shame about the B's, that could have ignited a fire in you to say, you know what, yeah, I want to have more A's.
Could have done. But by then it was too fucking late because I'd already done my GCSEs. Yeah. And did I do...
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah.
But no, I know what you mean, because sometimes what happens is someone in your life, a tutor, a teacher, or someone significant or a bully, puts you down, shames you. And then 20 years ago, they claim in the credit for your success because they said they motivated you. At the time, they didn't know that they were using reverse psychology on you to motivate you, you know, because they're fucking Paul McKenna or Tony Robbins, hypnosis. They had no idea, they were just being a twat. So, like, don't take someone else's credit. Yeah, that kind of shit does motivate me.
Yeah.
But they didn't know. And at the time, it pissed me off.
But, you know, it could go the other way as well.
Yeah, it could ruin your life.
It could ruin your life, and it could be the cause of someone's depression. Even.
Yeah, insecurity, anxiety.
What's your take on mental health? Because I know Andrew Tate, he's very much like depression doesn't exist. What's your take on mental health?
I think that if we compare ourselves to our grandparents who fought in a war so we could live today, I think they would look at a lot of people and go, you are so privileged you've become weak. Yeah. That's what I think. However, do some people have real mental health issues? Yes, my dad has very serious bipolar. Is depression real? I think some of it is real. And I think a lot of it is just you don't feel good. And that's the human condition. You are not supposed to feel good all the time. If you were getting attacked, would feeling good be useful to you? No. The more of a threat you have from your environment, the worse you should feel because it motivates you to do something. So a lot of the time, like really what depression often, not always, and some people have got serious conditions, but it's a label that we bestow upon ourselves for having a season in our life when things are going well. But that's what we perceive. So I'll give you an example. Let's say you've gone through a messy divorce and you've lost a lot of your money and you've got a bad relationship with your children in this moment. You could spiral into depression. You could then label it as depression. You could then go and get drugs. And all of a sudden, you have confirmed your identity as being depressed. Whereas in 3 years or 5 years, you could rebuild the relationship with your ex, rebuild the relationship with your children, work extra hard and motivated to be a model father or mother, and you'll actually look back and go, that was actually really good for me. So just do not be too quick to label yourself something that doesn't empower you, because labels are not real. I'll give you an example, ADHD. Is that a real thing? Well, says who? Like, who's going to benefit labeling you ADHD? I'll tell you who's going to benefit. The teacher that doesn't know how to teach you well enough to get you interested in class is going to benefit because they're going to, it's not my fault, they've got ADHD. And the drug companies that are going to sell you pills for your ADHD, they benefit. Does it benefit you to label yourself ADHD? No, Because here's the thing. In most instances, not all, in most instances, I believe, someone who is not paying attention in school is not because they're not interested in the school or the class or the teacher. Because everybody remembers their favourite teacher. And here's the thing. I did goosebumps saying this. Everybody now think of your favourite teacher. I bet it wasn't your favourite subject. You loved it because you loved the teacher. Because the teacher cared about you to get you interested.
I can remember the name of my worst teacher because I hated that subject.
Yeah.
Or she made me hate the subject.
Right. So you didn't actually hate the subject more.
Yeah. I hate the teacher more.
Can you remember a teacher you liked and actually made the subject better?
Yeah.
Now, you take a kid who's not engaged in school and you put them in front of a PlayStation, they'll do 25 hours a day. So they have attention deficit in shit that they're not interested by people who can't teach it properly, and they have attention surplus in something they're interested in. Do you know how long we've been going on this podcast? You didn't. You had to look.
Okay.
Have you enjoyed this?
Very much so,
Right.
yeah.
So, have you got attention deficit now every 2 minutes?
No.
No. Because
I'm engaged. I'm involved.
You're
Yeah.
engaged. So you could have attention deficit disorder labelled by teachers and the drugs companies, but then you could go and do something you love. Wait a minute, this hour and 15 minutes has got enough time.
We're coming towards the end of the podcast now that I just checked. Has there been a time in your life where you've kind of had those moments, down moments?
Yeah, of course. I'm quite an emotional guy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I can be a bit up and down.
When's the last time you cried?
Oh, well, if you'd have asked me 4 weeks ago, it would have been 20 years ago. Okay. But my dog passed away 3 weeks ago and I had a couple of moments. So that was the last time. I probably block out really tuning into those kind of emotions. I probably should cry a little bit more. I'm quite emotional. So I'm not that regulated, balanced, neutral person. It has upsides, but what it means is at times I look at my life and go, I'm not doing good enough. And I have this sort of little existential crisis. I just feel like I could or should be doing more. And that's probably it's a 6 to 24 month cycle for me. And I feel shit. And then I bathe in it and start beating myself up. But it never lasts that long and always get out of it. And I normally come out more re-inspired. So actually it's often a good thing. Just doesn't feel good. But never, you asked me earlier, have I ever once wanted to quit? No. I mean, a couple of times I'm like, this seems hard. But when you're on mission, you never want to quit. It's only when you're on someone else's mission or you're not clear on what you want to do. Why would you want to quit something you're clear on and you love to do?
Rob, it's been a pleasure.
Thanks for coming.
I really enjoyed this episode. I'm sure the audience is going to really enjoy the episode. If people want to reach out to you, what's the best way for them to reach out or to check your content out? And
actually, because I've written 19 books and obviously I've got Disruptors, over 1,000 episodes of my podcast. But I think the central place where you get access to everything is rob.tate. So that's my digital financial freedom platform to help people start and scale a business, make, manage, and multiply money. It's a membership area, but when lockdown happened 4.5 years ago, I dropped it right down to almost free. Okay. So I think it's like less than 20 pence a day. Just type in rob.team. I reckon I wouldn't be surprised if there's 600 hours of entrepreneurial content in there for startup business owners, scale up business owners. I interview my accountant on getting tax down. I interview my gold guy on investing in gold and silver. So there's quite a lot of cool content in there. And then from there, you'll find my books, my resources, my content, all my socials.
Guys, I'll have it all in the description below anyway. So if you want to go check out more of his content, definitely go check it out. Rob,
thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure.
Bye.
Guys, we'll see you on the next one. Cheers.